Hi guys, it's Aoife from Fred VZ Died Laughing, and I'm here to show you what I'm going to be reading for the TBR Takedown 3.5 and the Genreathon, which are happening from April 8th to the 10th and then April 10th to the 17th. So they're kind of one after the other, so it's a nice kind of way just to get all the books that you need to read out of the way. TBR Takedown has been hosted by Shannon over at Leaning Lights. I will leave the link down to her channel below. And then the Genreathon is being hosted by a number of different booktubers. Squibbles Reads, Lauren and the Books, Vienna Waits Books and Under the Radar Books. But they're all fantastic booktubers. I'll leave all the links to their channels down below as well. So for the TBR Takedown 3.5 there are a few challenges to do, and for me I've decided, seeing as it's a weekend, it's only a few days and I generally don't read that much in the weekend, I tend to read more in the middle of the week, so I've decided there's 4 challenges, but I've decided just to choose 2 books and if I don't finish them I can also bring them forward and start reading them during the Genreathon as well. So the first book I'm going to show you goes for the challenge of reading a standalone book and the challenge of reading a book that's been on your TBR shelf for over a year, and for this I'm going to read Looking for Alaska by John Green. I've been meaning to read this book forever. It's one of the few John Green books I've yet to read. The other one is Will Grayson, which he co-wrote with David Levithan, but this has been on my shelf. I'm pretty sure I've had this on my shelf for over a year, this book, but it's been something that I've been wanting to read for a few years anyway, and yeah, and I think it's probably going to be a good one for a readathon because it's probably wouldn't take that long to read, I think, once I get into it. And yes, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the fuss is about Looking for Alaska, because it's a lot of people's favourite John Green book, so I'm really looking forward to picking it up. And the second book I'm going to read goes for the challenges of a catch-up in a series and a book from your most recent haul. And I don't do that many hauls, I do more library hauls than normal hauls, but one of the books that I hauled recently in January was Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, which is obviously J.K. Rowling. And yeah, so I really love the Cormoran Strike series. I'm not huge into mystery novels, but I love J.K. Rowling's writing, and her writing style really comes through in these books as well, the same way they came through in Harry Potter and The Casual Vacancy, and the way she shapes characters and the way she brings all these plots together. And yeah, so I really like it, and I've heard pretty interesting things about this one so far. This one's a chunky one, so I'm not sure if I'll get it finished in the weekend itself, but I think it will be a good one to carry on to the Genreathon, because obviously it is a mystery book, and I don't read a whole load of mystery books, so it is a genre that I can use for this as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into this one. And for the Genreathon, there's not so much challenges, it's more that you have to read, I think, 3 books from 3 different genres, and I think that might be it, but I'm sure one of them will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's really all the challenges you have is just to read 3 different books from 3 different genres, which means, you know, read 3 or more books during the week. So for one of the books that I've decided to read is something I've had on my shelf since it came out, because I pre-ordered it, and it's Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. So this is obviously non-fiction, it's a memoir, and it's also a celebrity memoir, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. I had read Is Everybody Hanging Out Without Me, which is her first memoir, but that one was more focused on kind of her growing up and then going into college and starting off with The Office, and I don't actually read The Office, so that one was interesting for me, but it wasn't like really interesting, where this one focuses I think more on her work in the Mindy Project, and I love the Mindy Project, it's one of my favourite shows. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this and just laugh out loud, and because I really love Mindy and I love her humour, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I think again it's probably something that I'll get read pretty quickly. The next book I have is something that I think I've just had on my shelves for a while, and I've kind of set it aside to say this is something I need to read soon, and it's not really on my TBR shelf on Goodreads or anything, it's just something that I've had lying around, and it's The Betrayal by Helen Dunmore. As far as I know, I think this is a historical novel. It's set in Leningrad in 1952, and it has something to do with a teacher and a doctor forging a life together, and it's something about their struggle to kind of survive when they're kind of being suspected by different authorities and they're living under Stalin, and yeah, so I think that's it. It's kind of like historical, but then I think there might be a bit of a thrillerish feel to it. I'm not really sure, but it has me intrigued anyway, and I'm gonna be looking forward to actually reading it and seeing what it is about. And I love anything to do with post World War II, and you know, obviously Leningrad is a very interesting place to read about after World War II as well, so I am looking forward to picking it up. So the next book I'm going to read is a mystery novel. Again, it's something I've had on my shelves for a while that I've just been telling myself to pick up and read, and either, you know, put it back on my shelves if I really love it, or unhaul it then if I'm happy enough with just having had it read, just so it's not lying around being unread. And it is The Invisible Ones by Steph Penny. From what I know about this one, it is about the disappearance of a woman who married into a gypsy family, and some people think that she ran off with her child because it had a genetic disability, but her father isn't, you know, he doesn't think that's what happened, and he hires this investigator to investigate the disappearance. And it's been 7 years since she disappeared, so they're kind of afraid, the investigator is afraid that the trail has run cold. And he also comes from kind of a gypsy family or a gypsy descent, so I think he's probably one of the best people on the case to kind of investigate this kind of disappearance and mystery. So yeah, there's just something about this one, the description of it really appealed to me. I think I found it lying around the house or something, and I brought it up to my room to keep on my shelves to read it when I had a chance. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what it is about. And again, mysteries aren't something I read a lot of, because I tend to have an overactive imagination, so I don't like reading too much grisly things like mysteries and thrillers and stuff. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to reading this anyway. And this one's a bit more chunky than the other ones. It's only, I think, 420 pages. It just feels a bit more chunky, but again, hopefully I will get into it and I will like it. Another book I have is something that I think my dad picked up for me, and I think it's a memoir, and I think it's based on a true story anyway, and it's called When I Was a Soldier, One Girl's Real Story by Valerie Zanatti. This is something about a woman who served in the Israeli army, I think, and it's just her kind of take on her time in the army and what its strange existence, highly pressured teaching and exams, crushingly strict routines, lack of sleep and poor food. And yeah, so I'm not really sure too much what it's about, but it's a very short book. It's only just about 200 pages with kind of quite big text, and I think it will just be probably a very quick read. And again, it's something I've had on my shelf and I've wanted to read, so that, yeah, it will kind of tick off a few boxes. And two other books that I want to read I have on my Kindle. One of them is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. This is about a woman who did, I can't remember the name of the walk, but she did this massive walk in America anyway, and she was getting over the death of her mother, and she was also addicted. She was a drug addict, and it's kind of her own way of healing and kind of coming back to herself. And I watched the movie adaptation with Reese Witherspoon, and I really loved it. I actually watched it a little bit before myself and my dad did the Camino around this time last year. We did the Camino de Santiago in Spain, and I just wanted to watch something that was to do with, you know, kind of hiking and walking a long distance with just your bag on your back and kind of going from place to place like that. And it really did it. For me, I really enjoyed it. So I've had this on my Kindle for over a year, and I still haven't read it, and I've heard it's really good, so I do want to pick it up. And again, it's non-fiction, it's a memoir, so yeah. And another book I have that I want to read is it's kind of like a series of essays. It's The Lady in the Van by Alan Bennett. This is it's kind of a true story about a woman who came to a street in the 70s, I think, and she was kind of like a homeless woman. She lived in her van, and she basically parked on this street, and she stayed for like 15 years or something like this, and she's quite an old woman, and no one really knows who she really is, where she comes from, what comes out of her mouth, whether what comes out of her mouth is truth or a lie, because she kind of tells some tall tales. And yeah, this has also been adapted into a play and a movie, both of which starred Maggie Smith in it, and who is also, you know, our beloved Professor McGonagall. And I watched the movie a while ago, and a couple of weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit darker than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be just kind of a light comedy, and it ended up being a little bit more darker than I thought it would be. But I was really intrigued by the story, and I decided I wanted to pick up the book, so I got it on my Kindle, and it's only about 96 pages, I think, so it's not very long. So yeah, I think this will be a good one, maybe to read 1 or 2 essays a day, maybe while the Genreathon is going on, so we will see. So that is all I have for my TBR for those 2 readathons. Please let me know what you guys are thinking of reading, if you've read any of the books that I'm thinking of picking up, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!